Hello and welcome to the first edition of 8. I am Sanjay Chakrabarti, the founder of Tag8. Entrepreneurship is an exciting, at the same time, excruciating journey. Most entrepreneurs will tell you that throughout this journey, the best friend you can really have is a fellow entrepreneur who is living the same life that you are living. And the best person to really learn from is also the fellow entrepreneur. In that spirit, I've got with me my first guest in this series, Sudip Putatunda, the founder of Koldplay. In a short span of 6 years, he has set a niche. He's got into a very niche area as far as ice creams are concerned. Or rather, ice cream is not a niche area, but within this large, humongous segment, he has set for himself a very niche place. And even before we get into the segment, strong recommendation. If you guys haven't tasted Koldplay ice cream, it's a must. So put it into your diary. Welcome, Sudip, and thank you for joining in.
Thanks, Sanjay. Thanks for having me.
Great. So we're going to really keep it short, and let's jump into the first segment, which is what we call the breathless segment. Herein, we have two questions, and Sudip, I had made a quick reference of that to you. What would we really like to know from you is something about yourself, but the only catch is you can talk as long as you want, so long as it's only in one breath. So, give it a shot. Tell us something about who is Sudip Putatunda.
Okay, here goes. So I am 35, an entrepreneur, food scientist, somebody who is determined to make a mark in whatever I do, and somebody who is still searching for the right balance in business approach and wants to learn from fellow entrepreneurs like you as well.
Great. Had more than one breath, but I'll, as a first guest, I would let you go on that one.
I need to, next time I'll take a deeper breath so I get it one shot.
And now you have the chance immediately. So next, again, in one breath, what we want to know from you is tell us something about Koldplay. I mean, this magnificent company that you've set in the last 6 years. But as I said, I'm sure Koldplay being closer to your heart would be a much longer and many more things to say. But again, you have just that one breath.
Koldplay is a child of passion, of beauty from within, and love for food, of delivering joy and trying to make money at the same time.
Super. That was one breath. Yeah, I can see that. You have managed it. Great. So, okay, so, really, we want to keep this segment, the whole idea of having this chat is to learn from you that what's that one big challenge that you have faced from the time you started Koldplay, and how have you addressed it? What are the key learnings from that you could share with us? And right now you can take as much breath as you want, take as much time as you want, because we really want to, at the end of the day, get from you as to what is it that really troubled you at some point of time and how you overcome that.
No, Sanjay, as an entrepreneur, especially as somebody a founder who is starting his own business model and creating from scratch, one of the things that you're often challenged with a whole bunch of things, of course. I mean, the endless number of every day almost is problem solving. And it's something that now it took me a long time to come to it, but I realized if I don't have problems to solve, then I don't have a job really. So every day, my only work is to solve problems. So challenges are there, but I think fundamentally the key thing that I think the last 5 years has taught me is finding a balance between diversification of and concentration in business. So right from B school, we are taught that you de-risk yourself by having a diversified approach to business. And while that makes intuitive sense, one of the things that you learn only when you do it is that often you need to learn when to say no to a certain types of businesses. And as you said, ice cream itself, it might sound like a single product, but it's the kind of product that you would consume at the supermarket, you would consume at at a friend's wedding. You would consume it
Right.
at a restaurant, at a hotel. You would consume it at an ice cream parlor. You would consume it at the kirana dukan when you were walking past and you just decide to pick up a cone or a cup. You would consume it at a child's birthday party. And all of these delivery points where you're consuming is a delivery point that a manufacturer can choose to either focus or not focus on.
Right.
And different core competencies come into each of these. Making sure that your product is competitive at the kirana dukan is a very different competency than making sure your product is competitive at an ice cream parlor than from at a wedding. And when we first got into the business, we were flooded with opportunities. But being young entrepreneurs, one of the things that was like, let's not be arrogant and say no to people. People are coming to us with business. Let the market decide the best business model. And at an intuitive level, that just made sense, right? If I'm getting orders from point A and not from point B, let me learn from the market and move towards point A.
Right.
And but then I don't have the courage to drop channel B either, right? So now I've got A and B. A year down the line, C turns up, and now I'm trying to do A, B, C, and then there'll be D and E. And before I know it, I am become a classic case of a jack of all trades and master of none. And unless you're a master of a particular channel or a particular way of doing business, it becomes very difficult to do it profitably and to really own that business and to be the best at it. So one of the key learnings I have had is that even in something as niche as ice cream, you need to find a core competency where you're really the best and no one can beat you at that. And diversification coming at the cost of that sort of almost monopolistic drive within you that I have to be the best. There's no point. You have to strive to be the best at whatever niche you're finding. And if you feel that that's not possible, just drop it and find something else that you can dominate.
Perfect.
And,
I want to correlate it to your actual situation. You mentioned now what's been your therefore core area.
I'll give you an example.
And why did you select it per se? So say you have, I know you in a way to a certain extent you are there in various segments. The question now is that what is within these segments your core area, and why did you select that space? So just to help others to know how do you select your core area.
I'll make it more concrete and give real life examples. So for example, when we started, we were doing catering, right? So we were supplying to the biggest weddings across the city, and we would execute the events ourselves, which is to say that we would send staff, we would send display units, we would send ice cream, we would do the pickup, the drop off. Whereas a competitor would just either do the entire event and not make the ice cream, or they would make the ice cream and allow somebody else to do the event. Whereas we were keen on owning the entire chain, because we thought there were benefits for it. We would do events with 50 people in it. We would do events with 500 people in it. We would do events with 5,000 people in it. We would do events at the value end. We would do events at the high end.
Got it.
Similarly, with our hotel customers, we would be supplying to the biggest 5 stars, but we would not say no to the local, Punjabi restaurant. And therefore, we would come up with new products because obviously they are different price points. What we found over a period of time is we were actually making money and having the most impact in only the higher end premium end of the market, whereas the lower end of the market was commoditized and there was no point. We also realized that our core competency was not in logistics. There are people who can run events at costs that are unimaginable because their assets are fully depreciated. Labor laws don't seem to apply to them for whatever reason, and neither do all kinds of other things. So they know how to. So we realized that doesn't. We're not good at that. So we moved to a system where we partnered with these people. We became just the ice cream guys, and we allowed the people who are core competency is logistics, somebody else's core competency is execution. We allowed them to do their part of the business. We reduced our turnover, but substantially increased our profitability. And that has been the journey of the last 4 or 5 years of not trying to do everything, but doing a few things perfect and finding the route to profitability in that way.
Awesome, awesome. No, that's excellent. That was that's the point that I was really looking to hear. And trust me, right now, as I was hearing you say that, there are various things that we are doing at in our business that needs to be looked at as well. So thanks so much. And before I let you go, let me get back to the one breath last segment, last
One
question,
more. Sure.
and that is, where do you see Coldplay in 8 months from now, and where do you see Coldplay in 8 years from now? I know the situation is tough, but where do you really see things being in these two parameters?
Okay, here's the bread. 8 months from now, I would say surviving and staying at the level where we were and what we had created, given the situation in the hospitality sector right now.
Super.
8 years from now, we want to absolutely work with the best of the best hospitality and restaurant industry brands and be their backbone as far as ice cream is concerned.
Super. Thank you so much. And this was extremely enriching, and really greatly appreciate your time, and
Thanks,
all the
Sanjay.
very
I
best.
look forward.
And one thing that I definitely look forward to is in 8 years' time, hopefully, again, get hold of you and get your time again.